I'm Angela, 32, standing in the middle of my Pearl District apartment with fresh flowers still damp in a glass vase. Morning light slants across the hardwood floor I sanded myself. The air smells faintly of coffee and lemon polish. My father steps inside without removing his coat, eyes steady but heavy. "We're giving this house to your sister." The teaspoon in my hand slips and hits the saucer with a bright, brittle sound. My jaw stays still, but my fingers tighten on the edge of the counter. In 2006, I spent Saturdays folding my sister's clothes while our parents browsed new dresses for her at the mall. "She needs it more, honey," my mother murmured through a smile. I stacked tiny sweaters higher than my arms could hold and nodded even as my eyes burned. Now a patch of sunlight on the countertop looks exactly like the one on Grandma's porch back then. At 18, I worked 2 jobs to save for college, while my sister practiced driving her brand new car. "You're fine without one?" my father said when I asked. I closed the door to my shift at the diner that night and breathed out steam into the cold air. The scent of burned toast from the kitchen here brings that night back like it never left. 5 years ago, I signed the papers for this apartment with trembling hands, no one beside me. "Congrats," my sister texted, followed by a heart emoji. I pressed thanks but didn't hit send. Now the same phone sits face down on my counter, buzzing with her kids' laughter from the living room. Before I tell you what happens next, tell me where you're watching from. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, drop a comment or subscribe. You'll want to see where this goes. My father clears his throat again, and my sister sets her coffee on my table like it already belongs to her. I breathe in slowly, tasting the metal edge of the spoon between my teeth. I look at the key hanging by the door, and then back at them. I smile. They have no idea what's coming. I keep my hands busy straightening the napkin that doesn't need straightening, letting their words settle like dust. My sister leans back on the sofa, her shoes still on the kids' backpacks, spilling blocks and crayons across the rug I chose after weeks of hunting samples. "It's a great place for the kids," she says, eyes sliding over my shelves as if measuring. My mother nods. "They deserve better than that rental." My father clasps his hands, waiting for me to agree. I hear the faint tick of the clock above the door, each sound louder than their voices. In my head flashes stack like photographs. Grandma's creaky porch swing where I learned to draw, my sister blowing out candles on her 16th birthday while I washed dishes in the kitchen, my father's voice telling me family means sacrifice. I've been rehearsing silence for years. The smell of coffee now is the same as the diners at dawn after an overnight shift. It keeps me steady, keeps me from speaking too soon. I glance at the spare key still hanging by the door, a small silver witness to every choice I've made. My sister's children chase each other past it, knocking against my table leg. The spoon I dropped earlier lies on the counter, a thin arc of coffee creeping toward the edge. I wipe it with a cloth and place it carefully in the sink, my breath slow and even. They keep talking, filling the room with reasons. "You're strong. She's struggling. It's only fair." Each phrase lands like an old bruise. I listen without nodding, eyes on the sunlight shifting across the hardwood. In that shifting light, I see the hours sanding and staining the splinters in my palms, the nights I spent alone planning every corner of this home. My sister's smile flickers when she notices me watching. She reaches for her cup but misses the handle, a small tremor, a crack in her performance. I catch it, store it away like a photograph. My throat stays quiet, but my pulse steadies. I am not agreeing. I am recording. A block falls from one of the backpacks and rolls under the couch. The children laugh. The sound echoes against the walls I painted myself. I pick up the block and place it on the coffee table next to my phone. Its screen lights up with a message from Aunt Martha, "Call me tonight." I lock the screen before anyone sees. I look at them again, my parents and my sister, and smile faintly. They think I'm still the girl who folds and waits. They're wrong. A week passes before the next knock. It's louder this time, playful almost. "We were in the neighborhood," my sister says as she pushes the door open, Ethan and Mia trailing behind without waiting. Their backpacks spill blocks and dolls across the entryway. I'm still holding a mug of coffee, steam curling past my face as I watch them make themselves at home. My apartment smells of lemon cleaner from an early morning scrub, but the scent is already fading under the sugar of juice boxes. They settle in like it's routine. My sister taps her phone with one hand while opening my fridge with the other. "They need a place with space, Angie," she says. "They can't grow up in that rental." Her voice is light, but her eyes slide over my kitchen counters like a realtor's tour. I kneel to wipe a small spill on the floor where Mia's cup tipped over. The hardwood I refinished myself glints under the light, now dotted with sticky drops. I glance at the hook by the door. The spare key is gone, borrowed without asking. I'd left it for emergencies, never imagining it would open the door to this. Ethan runs past me with a marker in his hand. A streak of blue appears on my cream sofa before I can catch him. "Kids will be kids," my sister murmurs, still scrolling. The words are the same my parents used years ago. Family means sacrifice, echoing like a bruise. I gather the scattered toys into a basket, my movements quiet. Each small act feels like rehearsal for something larger. The phone on my counter buzzes with a notification from Aunt Martha. "Call me tonight." I lock the screen before anyone sees. My sister laughs at something on her phone, oblivious to the tightness in my hands as I wring the cloth. When she leaves, the apartment is a mess of crumbs and crayons. I stand in the doorway, after closing it, feeling the stillness return, though not the peace. The air smells faintly of spilled orange juice, and a small business card sits on the coffee table where she'd been sitting. The corner reads, "Donna Clark Real Estate." My stomach dips. I pick it up carefully, turning it over and slip it into my pocket. I don't say a word. I just watch the sunlight shift across the floorboards, see the faint marks of marker ink on the sofa, and breathe. They think I'm still the girl who folds and waits. My silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. The next days unfold like a quiet test. My sister begins arriving without warning, knocking lightly as if courtesy counts. Sometimes she comes alone, sometimes with the kids, always with a smile too wide. Toys spread across my hallway like breadcrumbs. Juice cartons pile in my recycling bin. The apartment I once guarded as a sanctuary starts to feel porous. I move my sketches and client files onto higher shelves away from sticky fingers and say nothing. One afternoon I come back from a meeting to find my kitchen light on and cereal scattered across the counter. The smell of cinnamon clashes with the lemon polish I used that morning. She's standing there, scrolling her phone, the kids sitting cross-legged on the rug, drawing pictures. "I thought we were family," she says when I ask about the spare key. Her tone is casual, but her eyes flick up to measure my reaction. I grip the strap of my bag, breathing slowly. The phrase echoes family means sacrifice, but this time it tastes metallic. I change the locks the next day, the click of the new deadbolt louder than expected. No announcement, no text. Just a boundary set in steel. In the quiet afterward, the apartment smells like fresh paint from a tiny patch I covered on the wall where a marker streak had been. My phone buzzes again. "Aunt Martha, call me tonight." I slide it face down on the counter, eyes on the sunlight bending through the blinds. Cleaning up after their visits, I notice more clues: her shopping bags tucked into corners, a notebook with scribbles about school districts. Then the business card on the coffee table, "Donna Clark Real Estate." Not mine. My fingers hover before picking it up. The embossed lettering feels sharp against my thumb. She's not just looking for space, she's looking to own to sell. I slip the card into my pocket without a sound, heart steady, not racing. They think I'm unaware. I stand by the window as dusk falls, watching the streetlights blink on one by one. The reflection in the glass shows my own face, calm, but different, like someone stepping out of a shadow. My sister's laughter from earlier still hangs in the air, but softer now, almost hollow. I close the curtain slowly, fingertips brushing the fabric. The apartment is quiet again, but no longer unguarded. My silence is not retreat, it's preparation. The restaurant is warm and dim, a quiet corner away from the street. Jazz hums low from hidden speakers. The scent of grilled fish drifts from the kitchen. I arrive early, folder in hand, sliding into a booth where the light falls soft on polished wood. My fingers trace the edge of the papers, steady now. Kevin texts I'm nearby, and I glance at the door just as my family walks in together. My sister leads coat unbuttoned, a quick smirk on her face. Thomas and Carol follow, cautious, like they're unsure why I called them. "Thanks for coming," I say softly. The server sets down water glasses. Silverware clinks faintly. Ethan and Mia are not with her this time, a small sign she expects something different. She reaches for the menu as if it's a casual lunch. "So, when can we move in?" she asks, lightly eyes scanning the room. I breathe once, then open the folder. "Before we discuss that, I say you should see this." The appraisal printout rests on the table, Donna Clark's business card clipped to the corner. My father squints. "What is this?" My sister's smile freezes for a heartbeat. Kevin appears at my shoulder with a nod and sets another folder beside mine. "These are your debts," I continue quietly. "Credit cards, boutique loans, $50,000. You didn't tell them." My voice is level, no edge. My mother blinks, fingers tightening on her glass. The room seems to hush around us as if the air itself leans closer. My sister stammers, "That's not," but the words falter. I slide the second set of papers forward. "And this, I say, is the trust. My apartment is protected. It's not yours to sell." The documents lie between us like a drawn line. Thomas lifts his glasses, scanning the headings. Carol glances at my sister, her lips parting, but no sound coming out. Kevin remains silent, a steady presence beside me. My sister's hand trembles against her water glass. "You're so selfish," she hisses. "What about my kids?" I lean slightly forward, voice still soft. "They need stability you can build, not something taken." Around us, plates clink and conversations murmur, but at our table, everything has slowed, narrowed to this moment. The spoon in her saucer tips and rings out like a bell. I sit back, letting the sound hang in the air. My sister shifts in her seat, her voice rising but thin. "You can't do this." "Mom, Dad, say something." Her eyes dart between them, searching for the old alliance. Thomas's jaw tightens. Carol looks down at her hands folded in her lap. The weight of the papers between us is louder than her protests. Kevin stays quiet, his presence like a wall behind me. I sip my water slowly, the glass cool against my fingers, and let the silence stretch. A buzz breaks at my phone, lighting up with Aunt Martha's name. I tap speaker and set it gently on the table. Thomas Carol Martha's voice comes clear and sharp. "Tell her about the inheritance you gave the younger one." "All of it." My mother's eyes snap up wide. My father exhales through his nose, a sound like a door opening. My sister whispers, "Don't, but it's too late." Years of unspoken truths crawl onto the table without me having to raise my voice. I keep my posture calm, shoulders back, palms flat on the wood. "This isn't about punishing you," I say quietly. "It's about ending the pattern." My sister's fingers tremble over the edge of the trust papers, nails scraping softly. Around us, a waiter refills water glasses, the splash faint like background music. The restaurant feels smaller now, compressed by what's been exposed. Kevin leans in just enough to slide the trust documents closer to me, a subtle signal that the line holds. My father adjusts his glasses and finally looks at me, not past me, but at me. "Is this true?" he asks, voice low. I don't answer with words. I nod once. The air between us shifts, heavy but clear. My sister's smirk is gone, replaced by a stunned stillness. The spoon in her hand clinks once more against porcelain before she sets it down. She reaches for a defense, but nothing comes. For the first time, she seems smaller than the room. I draw a slow breath and let my gaze move from her to my parents, steady and silent. The message is there without a speech, the boundary is drawn, and I'm not moving it. Thomas lowers the papers, his fingers trembling slightly on the edges. "Is this true?" he asks, voice softer than I've ever heard. My sister opens her mouth, but the word dies. Carol's gaze flicks from the documents to me, then down to her lap. Years of excuses hover unspoken between us. The restaurant hums with quiet conversations, but at our table there's only the sound of silverware and breath. I don't rush to fill the silence. My sister clutches at a napkin, her knuckles white. "What about my kids?" she whispers, trying to rebuild the script that always worked before. I slide a small card across the table, a list of community resources, a financial counseling appointment. "They need a stability you can build," I say gently. "Not something taken from someone else." My voice stays low, steady, no edge. Kevin shifts back, letting me stand on my own. Carol's lips part as if to speak, but she closes them. Thomas leans back a faint exhale, eyes fixed on the trust papers. The scent of citrus from a passing server cuts the heavy air. My sister's hand hovers over the card I offered but doesn't take it. The power of the moment isn't in winning, it's in the boundary set like stone. I pick up my purse, slowly sliding the trust documents back into the folder with one smooth motion. On top of the stack sits the spare key. I hold it a moment between thumb and forefinger, feeling its cool weight, then close my palm around it. Not anymore. The word stays silent, but it fills the space between us. I place cash under my water glass, its edges curling slightly from condensation. No dramatic speeches, no final accusations. Just a pause, a breath, a line drawn. Thomas glances up at me, a flicker of recognition passing through his eyes. Not approval exactly, but acknowledgement. Carol looks at her folded hands. My sister stares at the key still in my fist. I turn toward the door. The floorboards creak faintly under my steps, the low hum of jazz returning to my ears. Behind me, no one calls my name. Outside, the evening air hits my face cool and sharp, carrying the smell of rain on warm pavement. I pause on the sidewalk, letting the door swing shut behind me. Through the window, I see my family's silhouettes bent over the table, their voices low and scattered. For years, I stood at that table hoping for a seat, a word, a hand on my shoulder. Now I don't wait for them to notice I'm gone. Kevin is waiting across the street, leaning against his car with 2 cups of tea. He doesn't speak, just hands me one. The steam curls up into the night as we stand side by side. I take a sip, the sweetness grounding me. The Pearl District lights stretch out ahead. Neon window displays people laughing at outdoor tables. All the noise feels like a promise of a different life, not a distraction from loss. Back at my apartment later, I unlock the door with my own key and step into quiet. The walls smell faintly of fresh paint. The couch is free of the toys and coats that used to be dumped there. I place the folder of trust papers on the counter and slide the spare key into a drawer, hearing it clink softly against the wood. My phone buzzes with messages, my mother's name lighting up my sister's number below it, but I don't reach for it. I walk to the balcony instead. San Antonio glows under me, cars threading between lights. I lean on the railing, the tea still warm in my hands, and breathe. In my mind flicker the flashbacks, money sent, nights spent on calls, sacrifices unacknowledged. Each one floats up and away like steam. For the first time, the apartment feels entirely mine. I don't craft a speech or a post about what happened. There's no need to explain. Boundaries don't need announcements. They show themselves in action. Down on the street, a woman laughs. A door slams, a siren wails in the distance. Life keeps moving, and so do I. I turn back inside, shutting the balcony door with a quiet click. My phone blinks again, but the screen stays dark. Tomorrow will be work sketches and meetings. Tonight is just stillness. I sit on the floor, legs folded, looking at the walls I've reclaimed, and whisper, not for them, but for myself, this is mine. The door closed softly behind me, but the echo stayed. In the quiet, strength felt like calm air after a storm, not noise. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't to win, but to walk away and guard your own space. Dignity grows in silence, and in silence others finally see.